All right, man, peace. Brothers, this is going to be Volume 1 in a new series that I'm starting called Never Doubt Yourself. And this first entry will be featuring Mr. Donovan Mitchell, the star off guard of the Utah Jazz. And what inspired me to start this series was a statement that Donovan Mitchell is going to make in this interview. He states that at one point in this season, he thought to himself, maybe I'm a one-hit wonder. Maybe the highlight of my career is just going to be my rookie season, basically, is what he's going to imply by that statement. And I said to myself, you know, there's so many cats out here who are super talented, ultra competitive, but they start to doubt themselves as soon as they hit a stumbling block. Brothers, never in your life ever doubt yourself. You don't want to be arrogant about it, but you never ever doubt yourself. Because whether you believe you can do something or you don't believe you can do something, you tend to be right either way. So, of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
So we're just in his second season, but Donovan Mitchell has the keys to the Utah Jazz franchise. I sat down to speak with him about his early season struggles, getting advice from some of the top players in the...
You know, it's amazing to me. I say this shit all the time when I watch many of these ESPN shows and just television in general. The way that a lot of these females dress, you have to wonder, are they there to report the news, or are they there to try to seduce people into looking at their breasts? Like, what type of outfit is this? She has on lace sleeves and a deep V-neck, showing off her 45-year-old breastises. Like, I thought you here to report basketball. What the hell is going on?
Players in the league and how the fans in Utah have embraced him as they head toward Game 3 at home. Take a look.
After another blowout, the Rockets take a 2-0 lead over Utah. It's been the Rockets right from the start.
What do you know about you and your team that makes you feel like, yeah, we can still fight, we can still battle here?
We've been here before. That's how I look at it. We've been overlooked since last year.
And of course, brothers, yes, this is an interview from before the Utah Jazz were eliminated.
It's not like it's unfamiliar territory with us. They take care of 2 at home. That was their job. They did that. Now we got to go back and take care of 2 at home. You know, so for us, as long as we do that, as long as we stay focused on what we can control, what we do, we'll be in good shape.
Talking about comebacks, you had basically a comeback through this entire season. It was.
That's what life is about. Life is about comebacks.
It was tough through November. I mean, you had a game where you top 30 points, but 0 assists.
Yep.
That's not like you.
No.
You were a mess at the free throw line a bunch of the first few months of the season. Was there a point when you were going through the thick of that where you doubted anything?
I think what made it worse was when we started losing as a team. We were losing games badly. You know, we lost to, I think, Dallas by, 50 points. There was times where you're like, you know, maybe like a one-hit wonder. You know, like maybe it's just because no one knew who I was and I came and just shocked the NBA. But
he should never, ever have that thought. And even if he has that thought, he should never say that on national television. Because what that does is that allows his opponents to see that his confidence can be chipped away at. So I would advise him to never again make an admission like that on national television ever again. Even if it's false confidence. Sometimes you need a bit of false confidence until you're able to substantiate your false confidence to the level where it becomes real confidence. And I cite this movie scene all the time. It's one of my favorite movie scenes in the history of cinema is when Rambo in First Blood gets caught in the mine. He gets stuck in that cave. And he goes through all types of trials and travails until he reaches the other end of the cave. And he sees that light shining down from the top and he starts to cry to himself. Because he's thinking about all the things that he's been through just to reach that moment where now he can see that light. And it represents freedom. It represents liberation. It represents hope. Everything that he needs to continue to move forward. And that's what life is about, brothers. We're all going to get knocked down. People are going to disappoint us. Shit, we're going to disappoint ourselves sometimes. But we have to keep getting up and moving forward, man.
you know, the biggest thing is my teammates and coaches had my back. You know, and they all were like, it's going to turn around.
Donovan rises, fires. Oh, Donovan! Oh, Donovan! Oh, Donovan!
Who did you get advice from?
I turned to my guys, Dwayne and Chris, and just asked them, you know.
Dwayne Wade, Chris
Dwayne
Paul.
Wade,
I just
Chris
want
Paul,
not
yeah.
everybody can just be like, you know, my guys, Dwayne and Chris. Dwayne Wade, Chris
Dwayne Wade,
Paul.
Chris Paul.
To be honest with you, I think that Donovan Mitchell is a tweener. He's someone who unfortunately is about 3 inches too short. If he was 3 inches taller, he might be the best shooting guard in the NBA. Unfortunately, he's playing alongside Ricky Rubio. And I think that especially with Ricky Rubio being a free agent this offseason, that Utah should let Ricky Rubio go and move Donovan Mitchell over to the point guard position. Because Donovan, once again, he's 6'2", but he has about a 44-inch vertical leap. So that nullifies the lack of height. but it's also going to put a lot of wear and tear on his tires. He's not going to be as explosive as he is right now by the time he's 28, 29 years old. So they might as well accustom him to playing that quote-unquote point guard position. And basically all the prominent guards in the NBA today are combo guards anyway. So as long as he's able to improve his passing skills and they can bring in an off guard who's a little bit rangier, I think that will be what's best for their franchise, especially an off guard who can make the three-point shot.
People out there.
Yeah. They really, I talked to Dwayne for about 2 hours. I just talked to him just about what to expect in year 2. For me, having the bullseye on your back was a different situation to be in. Having everybody target you specifically, I think, really, opened my eyes a little bit. And it's one thing to hear it, and it's another thing to go through it.
One of the people you got advice from when you were trying to turn things around was, ironically, James Harden.
Yeah.
What advice did he give you then?
Who's one of his rivals?
Can use against him now.
He really just told me, just stick with it. It's not all going to just be gravy. It's not all going to be great. There was times when he was in OKC where things weren't, going great. He was playing well, but things weren't like what they are now. And, you take that advice and you try to apply it, and you start to get impatient, and you're kind of like, when, and then when it happens, that's when you kind of sit back, and you're like, oh, I see what you're saying now.
Also notice that James Harden was able to get moved to that pseudo point guard position. I really think that is where Donovan Mitchell will be best.
It's not always going to be great, but you can dig yourself out of it. Sounds like good playoff series advice.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, of course, that shit ain't going to work. Donovan Mitchell went on to shoot 4 for 22 in Game 5. But at the end of the day, the point is this. And life is going to be a series of stumbling blocks. There are going to be some things that bring you to your knees that make you say to yourself, shit, how the hell am I going to get out of this? But at the end of the day, you learn from it, you grow from it, you get up, you keep moving forward. And hopefully don't allow yourself to get caught in a situation like that ever again. That's all life is about. And hopefully you have a framework of people around you who are there to assist you when when you're going through those moments of darkness. But if the worst condition that Donovan Mitchell has reached in his life thus far at 22, 23 years old is that there was a spell during the season where he was not making some free throws and his team was getting blown out by 50 points, he's living a charmed life.
Exactly. There's going to be a battle on both sides. It's not always going to be easy. You're going to be banged up. You're not going to walk out there with no scratches, no bruises. But, as long as you stick with the game plan, then we'll be in good shape.
I want to talk about some of your off-court activities. Just in this last month, you handed a $25,000 check to a college student to help her with her tuition. And then there was little Evie, who was amazing.
Yeah.
Parents put a video on social media.
We can watch him this weekend when he plays again, okay? I'm sorry.
It was funny. I think I watched the video 4 or 5 times. It's just funny, kind of just hearing it. My first instinct was like, we got to find a way, to get her to the...
That little girl's probably like, who is this? Who is this Negro? Situations like this, Donovan Mitchell has to be very careful about. I know that he's trying to grow his profile when it comes to certain demographics that might be drawn to him, so on and so forth. And just as an aside, the husband might want to watch his wife because his wife looks like she's all up in Donovan Mitchell's face right now. She all up in that man's face, wearing his jersey number and all that. But just to get back to the point, this is a program that has been used on so-called black male celebrities for a while now, which is to try to link them up with little white girls so that they're more palatable for the American public. They use this in cinema a lot, especially with Denzel Washington, where during the film or over the course of the movie, he has to protect a young white girl. We saw this in The Equalizer, Man on Fire, so on and so forth. It's done over and over again, and the intent is to try to make the black man's image to come off as more gentle.
We played Denver that night.
Hell, we even saw it in the film Beauty and the Beast.
And they just had to find a way to get her to the game.
Can you tell us your favorite player?
Donovan Mitchell.
It was awesome to have her there. She was on the Jumbotron going crazy, and it was pretty special.
Another incident in Utah. Westbrook clearly upset with a fan.
Russell Westbrook is the most shit-talkingest ass dude in the NBA that I've yet to see win one fight. I've never seen Russell Westbrook whoop anybody ass, but he talked the most shit to anybody in the NBA.
Some of the fan interactions this year for the Jazz have not been positive. There was the incident with Russell Westbrook, fan yelling racially charged insults at him. You were one of the first players to come out in support of Russ and his reaction. Why was that important to you?
I think it was huge because of there's obviously an ongoing debate throughout this country about, racial injustice. So I think for me, as one of the guys in this franchise, I think it was big for us to, say something. And what I really loved was the support we got from the Jazz, because you've seen some stuff like this happen in other, leagues, and the support isn't there. And then when you have teammates like Kyle Korver, who comes out with what he did with the Players Tribune, it makes us as African American men, feel like, wow, like these guys have our back.
Brother, speak for yourself. No disrespect, but that's one of the main problems with the so-called black man today, or at least the liberal so-called black man, is that so many of these cats feel like they need to have the Caucasian by their side so that they can feel like they have quote-unquote support. Our people need to support one another, and that starts from the grassroots, from the ground floor. And what you'll quickly find is that when you embrace that viewpoint of let's start with us and what we need to do, you'll see very quickly the snakes in the grass. And the biggest snake in the grass is the liberal Caucasian, particularly the liberal Caucasian Jew, whose philosophies are pushed on the so-called black male and female to separate them and cause confusion and force them to lean on him for support and succor, so on and so forth. But to make a long story short, no, we don't need their support. We need our own support. We need each other's support. And that's why they know that they can manipulate us through films and through certain sentiments, like trying to link the so-called black man up with little black girls to make him view himself as nothing but a quote-unquote bodyguard, a protector of what's the most valuable in this society, that being the image of the young Caucasian girl, particularly the young Caucasian blonde-haired girl. And that's why I stated that even in the film Beauty and the Beast, that was a thinly veiled analogy, not just to the quote-unquote Baphomet, because that's what the Beast represented, as the quote-unquote Baphomet, but also, by extension, the so-called black man. We also saw that in the film King Kong, where they linked up the so-called black male with the Caucasian female, especially the blonde-haired Caucasian female. And that was the flip side of that rapport, that being the so-called bestial black man out of control, who just takes the Caucasian female and runs off with her. So it's very obvious that there's a psychosis that's going around, not just in the subconscious of the so-called white man, but also in the subconscious of the so-called black man when it comes to the rapport of the black man and the white female, and just interracial dynamics overall. That's why we have to focus on one another, because there's just too many issues that everyone has when it comes to this interracial stuff. Work on ourselves first, and then we can go out there, if you still have time for that, and try to build up strong dynamics with the other races, if that's what your concern is or that's what your prerogative is.
Kyle wrote that article talking a lot about white privilege and what these incidents, sort of how they've affected him and what they've opened his eyes to. One of the things...
It's so funny. Some of these super liberal cats in the NBA, they're willing to pat this guy on the back for this article that he wrote. My standpoint is, you've been in the league for 16, 17 years, and it wasn't until a couple of years ago that you came to this revelation that so-called black men might be going through certain racial issues. So what were you thinking your first 13, 14 years about niggas? That's what I want to know.
Things I thought was so well said in that article is he said, I'm a white guy who looks more like a lot of our fans than I do my fellow teammates. I don't have to have this conversation. My teammates have to have it whether they like it or not.
No, we don't. The conversation that the so-called black man needs to have is with one another. That's the conversation. Just the fact that Kyle Korver said, I don't have to have this race conversation. You niggers have to have this race conversation, shows you where his mindset is still at. Even in his attempts to be conciliatory, he's still showing that he believes that he's above the so-called black man.
Every day. They don't get to decide, I'm just not going to deal with race relations today. They don't have that option.
Yeah. We need to understand that there's two different worlds, there's two different Americas. There is, and for having him on my team and that teammate saying that, who isn't black, I think is huge.
The Utah community did seem to have your back, and the way everyone has embraced you has been such a...
Well, what else are they going to do? The Utah Jazz are they're the only professional sports franchise in the state. And he is the biggest star on the only franchise in the state.
Such a special part of your story. They named a bridge after you here, And where the arena sits, it sits on Stockton and Malone Avenues, basically.
Yeah.
And then right across is your bridge. So it's Stockton, Malone, and Donovan Mitchell. What did it feel like to have that happen?
To be honest, it caught me by surprise, you know, and I didn't think it was going to be as big as it was.
It's a bridge.
I really didn't. You know, I thought it was something small, like a small painting, and then I go and it's this big mural of me on there. There's a huge crowd of people. I was taken back when I got.
Look at that. I saw a young black boy in the crowd. He must be the only he must be the only black boy under 10 years old in the whole state of Utah. Let me rewind this back a little bit. Look at this. It's a little black boy in the crowd. I wonder who he belongs to. I wonder if he's adopted. I don't see a grown black person standing next to him, so he must be adopted.
Taken back when I got there. I'm like, whoa, like, what is this? And it's just one instance, but they've been great to me here in Utah. They're awesome.
All right, well, they name a bridge.
For now, they're awesome. For now.
Bridge across from the arena after you better win some playoff games.
I know, I think we have to.
Scotty, people thought when Gordon Hayward left the Jazz, like, oh God, that franchise is going to be in trouble, but watching
I have no idea why Gordon Hayward never won shit with them.
this young man.
No, Jazz got.
I tell you what, though, had he stayed, their team would be much better. If they could have combined Gordon Hayward with Donovan Mitchell, they'd be a much better team. They'd probably be about a 55-win team right now because he would provide what they needed when it comes to shooting. But the trade-off of Gordon Hayward and Donovan Mitchell was at best negligible when it comes from the Gordon Hayward perspective. Really, they have the advantage with Donovan Mitchell because Donovan Mitchell is a better player than Gordon Hayward ever was.
Jazz got lucky. They got a great franchise player, incredible player. Just a human highlight film, a guy that's really brought some excitement to the Jazz, the style that they play. But he's a little different. He plays above the rim.
His jump shot is going to have to become more consistent for them, though.
Plays above the rim. He's skilled. He makes adjustments, but he also has stepped into this leadership role and embraced it. I mean, he wasn't afraid when they named the bridge after him, but I like the fact that he admits, like, maybe I'm a one-hit wonder, and I think you got.
I don't like that. You don't admit that publicly.
You got to play this game with a mix of fear and arrogance, right?
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
Absolutely.
He knows that can
And he knew the right
turn
people
real
to go
fast.
to get fixed, and then he went out, and he fixed it, and we're seeing that in the playoffs right now. All right, coming up.
But anyway, that's basically it on that. Once again, brothers, never doubt yourselves, man. Never, ever doubt yourself. So peace.